Hello my dear students, hope all you are fine, and once again I am here to take your history class from class 10. We have already completed one chapter from our syllabus, that was the first war of independence. Today I am going to start a new chapter under the headings the growth of nationalism. In today's class, we will discuss what factors contributed in a large extent and which helped for the growth of nationalism across the country, the feeling of patriotism, activity for the cause of motherland, ready to sacrifice your life for the cause of motherland. Such a feeling began to develop in the first half of the 19th century, just after the end of First War of Independence. All of you know that one of the most important consequences of the First War of Independence, it was that First War of Independence paved the way for the rise of nationalism among the Indians, and it laid the foundation of the future national movement of our country. It clears the path and objectives for which Indians has to work together against the British rules. We have to develop a sense of unity among the Indians in order to drive out them from the Indian soil. So naturally, along with First War of Independence, there were many other factors which contributed a lot for the growth of or for the rise of Indian nationalism. Among some of the factors which we are going to discuss, number one, the economic exploitations. Second, the repressive colonial policy. Third, the social and religious reform movement. Fourth, the role of press. Fifth, the Western education. Sixth, the role of transport and communication. Seventh, the revival of India's past heritage. Ilbert will controversy. Many more. But as per our syllabus, we are not going to discuss all these factors, what just now I mentioned to all of you. We will here discuss only 4 out of 8 factors. What are those 4 factors? Number 1, economic exploitation. Second, the repressive colonial policy. Third, the social and religious reform movement. Fourth, the role of press. We will discuss here all these factors which contribute a lot for the rise of Indian nationalism. So first, I am going to discuss the economic exploitation. I had told you when I discussed the first of independence, in what ways our resources simply carried out from India to England. India became a dumping ground of British manufacturing goods and supplier of raw material for the British industries. Nothing was produced in India. So in every form, in every economic activities of the British, the main purpose, how to exploit the Indians in the form of land revenue, in the form of salary to the British officials, in the form of pension to the British officials, expenditure on the army, all they were collecting from the Indian people. Naturally, the ultimate objective of the British policy to economic exploitation. And these economic exploitation of the British government add the apathy, the hardship to the Indian people. The Indian people suffered a lot and they realized this thing unless and until we remove the British from Indian soil, our exploitation could not come to end. So who were the people being exploited by the British government. Number one, the peasants. Second, the handicrafts, artisans, handicrafts. Third, the working people. Fourth, the educated Indians. Educated Indians. These four groups of people were being exploited by the British through their policy. But the worst exploited people, the worst sufferer, without any hesitations, without any doubt, these were the farmers and the peasants of our country. They came under the clutches not only of the British government, but also they were being exploited by two new class of people created by the British government. Number one, the jamindars or landlords, and second, the money lenders. So my question to all of you, in what ways farmers exploited by the British government? Farmers were being exploited by the British government by imposing high land revenue. A huge land revenue charged, imposed on the farmers. Whether crops failed, whether crops grow or fail, it does not matter to the British government. Their ultimate objective to collect the land revenue from the farmers. Even they were not exempted, they were not given any relief when crop was failed. They were forced the farmers to pay the land revenue even in case of the failure of the crops. Other important things, after the Britishers coming to India, they introduced here number of the land reforms policy, like the permanent settlement policy, like the Mahalwadi settlement. Various policies they introduced. Whatever the reforms they introduced in agriculture, ultimate objective of them to how to increase their revenue. But who were the sufferers of these policies? Of course the farmers. Of course the farmers. So naturally, when the farmers did not pay their revenue, did not pay their tax, simply they borrowed money from the money lenders who charged a high rate of interest. When they failed to repay the principal amount and the rate of interest, the money lenders captured the land of the farmers. So they were being exploited on the one hand by the British government, charging the high rate of interest, high land revenue. Second, the jamindars. Farmers were not the owner of the land. The owner of the lands were jamindars. The jamindars that purchased the village from the British government by giving a revenue to the British government. So naturally, these farmers distributed the land to the farmers. These jamindars distribute their land to the farmers. After harvesting, a major share of the crops taken away by the jamindars and a very small portion of the total produce taken by the farmers. The farmers did not get 2 square of meal, since the farmers were not the owner of the lands. So who were the owner of the lands? The jamindar. What was the objective of the jamindars also? To extract more and more money from the farmers. So naturally, these three classes of people, three group of people ultimately exploited the farmers. Number one, the British government itself. Second, the jamindars. Third, the money lenders. Their conditions become so harsh. Sometimes they leave the agriculture and went to forest for their livelihood. In this way, our village economy once upon a time was self-sufficient, now fully dependent on the British government, jamindars and the money lenders. The farmers did not get their 2 square of meal. Naturally, it is a common feeling among the farmers. In order to get relief from the such exploitation from the hands of British only one way to raise voice against the government, to be united against the government, and brings a feeling of oneness, togetherness among the Indians. Second important thing, handicrafts and the artisans. I told you when I discussed the first war of independence, these were the people, those people who were involved in the hand making goods. Their activities also ruined because of the highly discriminatory policy of the British government. How? Number one, our handicraft products could not compete with the British manufacturing goods, as the British manufacturing goods were made of machine, and these are cheaper compared to the Indian handicrafts. Secondly, the acute shortage of raw materials. Now all the raw materials are simply purchased by the British government and sending it to England for the British industries. Due to shortage of raw materials, our handicrafts could not able to buy the raw materials. Even they were not allowed to purchase the raw materials for their handicraft work. Third important thing, in spite of all these difficulties, if we send some of the goods to European market, then the British government imposed heavy duty so that prices could go up. No one purchased our handicraft products. India market flooded with the British manufacturing goods. Nothing was produced in India. Everything of our daily lives comes from England to India. So once upon a time there was a great demand of our handicrafts, but these demands reduced now in the European market because the presence of the machine made goods manufactured in England, and we could not compete with the machine made goods. Because of all these difficulties faced by the handicrafts, our handicraft industries completely destroyed, completely ruined because of the highly discriminatory policy, discriminatory trading policy of the British government. So those people who were engaged in the activities of the handicraft, they also become unemployed because they lost their normal, regular economic activities. Now they also depending on the agriculture. The agriculture also had the capacity to absorb the surplus people. Already the agriculture was full of people. Many people are dependent on agriculture, but this new group of people now also added to the agriculture, and they lost their job, they become unemployed. So naturally, there was a huge grievances, discontentment among this group of people, the handicrafts, the artisans, and others people. Third, the working people. Who were the working people? Those people who were working in the British industries. Most of the industries, whatever we had in India at that time, the owner of those industries were the British. They were the capitalists. They were the capitalists. They were the owner of the machine. We the Indians working in their factories as the labor, as the workers. So what was the ultimate objective of the British capitalists? Ultimate objective of the British capitalists to pay the low wages to them. Ultimate objective of the British industrialists or the capitalists to exploit the Indian workers, working more hours in the industry, produce more within short time. So they were being also exploited by the British capitalists, by the British industrialists. No doubt, a small sections of people working in those industries, but they were educated. They had the view, they had the vision, they could influence the people of other sections, people of other groups. So there is one common thing among the people of various groups. What is the common thing? Exploitation. The British exploitive nature, add the hardship, add the suffering to the Indian people. Common thing. Naturally, we need to be united. We need to be united. We have to be one identity. It was, we are all the son of the Indian soil. So we have to make free of our motherland from the hands of the British rule to end our such exploitation. There is no other alternative. Fourthly, the educated Indians. The British government introduced the Western education. So a section of the influential Indians adopted the Western education with this hope that after the end of the education, they may get jobs under the British government. But their hopes were dashed when after the end of complete education, they find no jobs. There were very few jobs and more aspirant for the few jobs. Areas of the jobs were only limited to the government fields, either civil servants or clerical posts or others. But there are few jobs. Jobs are not created for the Indians. Few jobs, more aspirant. Naturally, this newly educated generation come to the conclusion, without industrialization in India, we will not get jobs. As so long British rule in India will continue here, the British will not set up industries here. They could not make India a industrialized nation like England, what they made already, because all industries were set up instead of India in England. India only became a market for the British manufacturing goods. So unless and until the British government set up industries, unless and until the British government create jobs for the Indians, unless and until the Indians got the opportunity for the promotion, unless and until the Indians got the opportunity to appear or to get job in the civil service, the problem of unemployment could not be solved. Naturally, these people also become frustrated, disappointed very much because they were not getting job. So these also help for the growth of nationalism in India. This is how the economic exploitation contributed a lot for the rise of nationalism. Before I am going to discuss the second factor, let me tell you what is the meaning of the word nationalism. What is the meaning of the word nationalism? The word nationalism means simply the love for motherland. The word nationalism means oneness. The word nationalism means togetherness. The word nationalism means the feeling of brotherhood. The word nationalism means the common sense of unity. And these began to develop among the Indians from the first half of 19th century because of the common political background, because of common history, because of the common border, because of the common administration, because of the common cultural heritage. And ultimately, we are the son of the soil. That is the India. India is our motherland. And our motherland is ruled by the foreigners. So we have to make our motherland from the free from the rule of British. Naturally, we need to be united. So without a common background of culture, history, administration, common territory, we could not develop such a feeling of oneness. Yes, India was a land of multicultural, multi-language, but one common thing, we are the son of the same soil. So we need to be united. we have to develop such a feeling of the motherland to be ready for the sacrifice for the cause of sacrifice your life for the cause of motherland. So such a feeling we have to develop in India from the first half of 19th century, and just now I discussed one factor which added and contributed a lot for the growth of nationalism. Second important factors, the repressive colonial policies. One of the viceroys of India named Lord Lytton, who was very much famous to the Indians because of our bad policies, not for the good job. Whatever the policies, whatever the law he framed, all the policies hurt the interest of the Indians. All the law, all these policies are made in favor of the selfish interest of the British. Naturally, such highly discriminatory activities of Lord Lytton create a huge grievances against the British rule, against the British administration. We realize that the ultimate objective of the British was nothing, only to fulfill their selfish interest. That is the interest of the England or their motherland. Naturally, with this objective, he passed a number of laws and introduced number of the policies. One such two highly discriminatory law passed by Lord Lytton in 1878. 1878. Number one, Arms Act. Second, the Vernacular Press Act. Vernacular Press Act. These two acts passed by Lord Lytton in 1878. So what was Vernacular Press Act? The Vernacular Press Act prevented the Indian newspapers, the Indian journals, the Indian editors could not write anything against the British government. If any Indian journals or editor or the newspaper write anything inciting against the Indians, against the British government, then his paper will be confiscated and the editor of the newspaper will be also arrested, put him behind the bar. Number of restrictions were imposed on the vernacular newspaper, but no restrictions were imposed on those newspapers supporting the British activities, highlighted the British activities in India and support their cause, especially the English newspapers, especially the newspapers edited by the English. They were all kept outside the purview of the Vernacular Press Act. So no doubt the Vernacular Press Act was highly discriminatory. The main purpose of this act to cut the freedom of press and freedom of speech. Naturally, the Vernacular Press Act, we call it the gagging act. They wanted to suppress our right to freedom of speech and the expression through the Vernacular Press Act. Not only that, in the same year, he passed on the law, what we call the Arms Act. The Arms Act explained that no Indians could carry the arms without license, and licenses were rarely issued to the Indians. Even the British government were not ready to issue the licenses. Okay, so what happened then? But again here was the exception. But Europeans were free to carry the arms without a license. It is also discriminatory. But such activities of Lord Lytton added the fuel to the minds of the Indians, create a huge disappointment, create a huge discontentment against the British government. Third important policy he framed, it is Lord Lytton who reduced the minimum age to appear for the civil service examination. Earlier it was 21. Lord Lytton reduced the age from 21 to 19. The main purpose for the reductions of the minimum age to prevent the Indians to appear in the civil service examination, because at the age of 19 none of the Indians could complete the graduation, or to appear in the civil service examination the minimum criteria, minimum qualification should be graduate. So in order to prevent the Indians to appear in the civil service examination, in order to prevent the Indians to get such a high post jobs, the Lord Lytton reduced intentionally the minimum age to appear in the civil service examination from 21-19, also created grievances among the Indians. Fourth, Lord Lytton also responsible to completely destroy, to completely ruin our leading industry. It was the textile industry. He imposed a heavy duty on the textile product which were importing from India to European market, where our Indian textiles had a great demand, and it posed a serious challenge to the British textiles. So in order to reduce the competition between the British textiles and the Indian textiles, the British Lord Lytton imposed a heavy tax, heavy duty only on Indian textiles, and no tax are imposed on British textile. Naturally, our textile product in the European market became a costlier. On the other hand, the British textile became a very cheaper. In this way, our demand reduced in the European market. Naturally, in this way, he also ruined our textile industry. Not only that, he was a man of inhumanity. He showed his inhumanity when at the time of great famine, when several parts of India come under the famine, people were not getting to square meal. Here and there we found the dead bodies. People were eating the leaves of the tree or others vegetables for their livelihood. At the same time, it was the Lord Lytton spent millions of rupees only to declare the Queen Victoria as the Empress of India in 1877. Empress of India. Huge money spending at the time when Indians were struggling to get 2 square of meal. No measures were taken by Lord Lytton to help the famine affected areas. Nothing was taken to combat or to relieve the people of famine affected areas. So all this policy of Lord Lytton also added the fuel in the minds of the Indians and created huge grievances and help for the fastened growth of Indian nationalism. Third important thing, social and religious reform movement. At that time, there was many scholars of India believed that the Western education was one of the blessings of the British to the Indians. Naturally, after the introduction of Western education, a sections of people adopted the Western education and they go through the Western culture and Western civilization, Western philosophy, which widen our outlooks, and we gather some inspiration and knowledge from the Western civilization and Western culture. Naturally, it also helped the Indians to remove the social evils from the Indian society, like the dowry system, Porda system, the Shoti system, girl infanticide and caste system, which were prevailing in the Indian society. There were some great personalities of India who contributed a lot and started a social and religious reform movement within the Indian society, to purify, to filter our society and to remove all the social ills. Those leaders who were pioneer in this field, in this direction. I must mention the name of Swami Vivekananda, Raja Rammohn Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Jyotiba Phule and his wife Savitri Phule. Many more scholars, Dayanand Saraswati, many more Indian scholars started a social and religious reform movement in order to remove all those social barriers which were prevailing in this Indian society. So who were the pioneer? Raja Raman Roy, the first modern man of India. Though he was an Indian, though he was a Brahmin, but he was against the existing social ills of especially of the Hindu society. He was the first man to raise his voice against the existing social ills. He knew the other than Indian languages, other than English, he was very much familiar with the Persian language and other languages. Naturally, with this objective, Raja Raman Roy founded a society, Brahmo Sabha, in 1828. 1828, that Brahmo Sabha in the next year came to be known as Brahmo Samaj. Brahmo Samaj, 1829. The main objective of this Samaj to filter the Hindu society and remove all those social ills and work in this direction. Through this organization, he raised his voice against the Hindu society. It is because of the untiring effort of Raja Raman Roy, Lord William Bentinck banned the Sati system, which was very inhuman in nature. Not only that, girl infanticide also banned and widow remarriage was allowed because of the Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar's huge contributions. Raja Raman Roy also supporter of the Western education. He believed that until we adopted the Western education, the Indian society could not progress. Naturally, in order to spread the Western education in Indians, he also set up English school at Kolkata. Along with the education, he also published and edited the newspaper, two important newspapers, one in Persian, other in Bengali, published by him. Sangbad Kaumudi, first Bengali newspaper published and edited by Raja Raman Roy. And Mirat ul Akbar, another important newspaper in Persian language, also edited by Raja Raman Roy. So on the one hand, Raja Raman Roy was a social reformer, Raja Raman Roy was an educationist, Raja Raman Roy was a journalist, and he contributed a lot to make aware the people of India about the social ills existing in the Indian society and its bad effects. How was it affected the Indian society? He, throughout his life, he worked and contributed for purification of the Hindu society and remove the caste system. Other important scholars, Jyotiba Phule from Maharashtra. He was born in a lower family and he learned more from his practical experience in the educational field, even in the society, and whatever experience during his lifetime, what difficulties he faced, because only he belonged to the lower caste, he belonged to the untouchable family, and how he was tortured only because he was untouchable. So naturally, he also started a social reforms movement in Maharashtra. The main objective of this movement to fought for the rights of the weaker sections of society, especially the depressed classes and the untouchables. He fought for the rights of these people who were deprived of the basic rights. Even the untouchables were not allowed to use the well or the tank to draw the water. They were not allowed to go for the education while Brahmin children were learning. Naturally, he founded one of the society, one of the organization, Satya Sadhak Samaj. English is called the Seeker of the Truth. The Seeker of the Truth or Satya Sadhak Samaj. Through this society, through this organization, he worked for the upliftment of the work of the untouchables and the depressed classes. Not only he, his wife, Savitri Phule Bai, he also come forward to help her husband, and he also contribute for the upliftment, for the betterment of the weaker sections of the society. Savitri Bai Phule, the first who dug out a well for the people of untouchables in this village. He also worked for the rights of the women, especially she was supporter of the women's education. She raised her voice for the rights of the women. He appealed to the women to join and participate the political activities in India. So through his organization, both Jyotiba Phule and his wife Savitri Phule, they created awareness among the people of India, especially the people belong to the lower caste and the untouchables. Okay, so what are the common points of all the social and religious reform movement introduced by various scholars? Number one, to create the feelings of patriotism, common thing. These were the leaders who first raised the slogan, India for the Indians, Swaraj, Swadeshi, such a slogan were given by these social reformers. Thus all these social reforms movement fought for the common cause. This common cause were against caste system, against the Saudi system, against the polygamy, against the girl infanticide, and in favor of the women's education, in favor of the widow remarriage, common agenda. And through this, they create awareness among the people of India by reviving our past culture, our past heritage. And they also spread this message: we were not inferior, we were superior, even we are superior than the British civilization. They talk about the Aryan civilization, they talk about the contributions of Indus Valley civilization. So these were the common area where they worked together to restore the glory and the prides of the past cultures of India, past heritage of India, and instill a self-confidence among the Indians that we are also belong to such civilization which was higher than, which is more superior than the English or the British civilization. So in this way they contribute a lot social and religious reform movements. The last one, the role of press, newspapers. At that time, number of newspapers, either English or in vernacular languages, published in various parts of the country in order to create awareness, in order to create a feelings of oneness, in order to create a feelings of brotherhood among the Indians. So these newspapers, the leading newspapers at that time, just now I told you, the Sangbad Kaumudi, the first Bengali dailies, among the English, the Indian Mirrors, the Amritabajar Patrika, the Times, the Statesman, many more newspapers, Maratha, the Keshari, all these newspapers contribute a lot to create a common public opinion and ventilate the grievances of the Indian people and highlighted and criticized severely the British discriminatory policy. The ultimate objective of all these writings of the various columnists, they highlight the hardships what they were facing under the British rule. And through this, they want to create a common public opinion against the British government. And through the newspaper, they develop a sense of unity, sense of brotherhood, sense, and also spread the message of equality, liberty, fraternity, and also spread the message of Western education across India. So newspaper played a very positive role to create the public opinion by highlighting those policies of the British government which affected very much the Indians. So in this way, all these four factors contribute for the growth of Indian nationalism. Today is no more. Thank you to all of you.